everyone. Welcome to the Phases of Growth podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Rose. And today we are going to talk about how sometimes on your healing journey, it is actually important to not do anything, which may seem kind of counterintuitive. So, today's episode, I'm just going to kind of roll with some of the thoughts that I've been having. Typically, I try to really, script out a lot of what I'm going to say, but I just feel like today I want to just speak from my heart and be really authentic. That's what I'm going for with this podcast. And so it might feel a little different. I might go on some tangents that I don't typically go on, but just know it's because I'm speaking from no notes today. So it may, this may be a failed experiment, but we shall see. Okay. So why am I talking about this? People think about their healing journeys and they're like, we got to go. We got to do the work. I know I'm that type of person where I can see the vision I have for myself, for my healing, for my future, and I want to be there immediately. And I've had to learn throughout the years that it's like, it takes time. You have to take incremental and pretty consistent steps forward. Sometimes you're going to take some steps backward, and then you have to get your momentum going again. So, even though it is important to be consistent, what I've been experiencing lately is a lot of ascension. Okay. So, if you follow me on YouTube, you probably are aware that I have been doing for the month of February a 28-day Messages from Love series. So, each day, there's a channeled message and energy activation. I'm tuning into divine love and light, and I'm receiving a message for the collective. And then there's an activation that goes along with that. So that process for me looks like I channel the message first and I kind of write it down. And then I do the recording. So I read the message and then I'm channeling the energy activation into that recording. So I do all of that. I create you know, the audio file, upload it to YouTube. And then each day since February 1st, I have been doing the series in sequential order. So I started February 1st and listened to the first message. And so I'm kind of doing these energy activations almost like 3 times, the initial channeling, the recording, and then listening to it. And what I have noticed is there's a lot that has been shifting within me. I'm clearing a lot of fear. I'm clearing a lot of, old habits are shifting. I'm clearing a lot of limiting beliefs. I'm feeling more aligned than I have in a very long time. And it's wonderful. Believe me, I love it. And then what happens sometimes when you're doing all of the work and you're doing the energy meditations and you're going within, you're connecting with spirit, you're clearing, you're releasing, you're healing. What happens sometimes to some people is you start to experience ascension symptoms. And to me, what that means is that your body hasn't necessarily caught up to what your vibration is doing. So your vibration is shifting very rapidly, and your body's taking a little bit of time to catch up to that. And so ascension symptoms could look like just being exhausted. It could look like flu-like symptoms, headaches, ringing in your ears. It can even look emotionally like increased anxiety and depression, which again seems like counterintuitive because it's like you're doing all the work, you're doing all this clearing, you're realigning. Like, why would you feel more anxious and depressed? In my opinion, it is we are bringing so much to the surface. And so it's like more is being kind of dug up from your psyche and your subconscious that may have been dormant or may have been hidden. And so it's like it's out on full display. So that could be part of it. But another part of it could be, again, it's just like your system needs time to recalibrate. Your system needs time because it's been doing all of this shifting in the frequency. It's like your body needs time to catch up. Your mind and your parts need time to catch up. Sometimes, and I talked about this in another podcast episode, when we're doing healing work, your system and your parts get kind of nervous about that because it's like, oh, I don't want to change. That doesn't seem safe. So that could be happening too when you're doing all this healing work. There could be some parts that are trying to like pull you back because that feels safer. So, all that to say, that is a normal part of the healing process, right? Is that it's not all sunshine and roses. It's not all going to feel amazingly good. It's sometimes very chaotic. Sometimes it is exhausting. A lot of people I've worked with, we've talked about in therapy, the therapy hangover. And I remember experiencing it for myself when I was in therapy doing internal family systems work. I typically don't schedule clients on Mondays if I can avoid it. And so my therapy sessions were always on Mondays because I needed the rest of the day after that therapy session to just be be quiet, be in stillness, kind of like let things settle that I got stirred up during the therapy session. And I'm very blessed that I had the ability to schedule my life like that. And unfortunately, I know a lot of my clients don't have that ability. It's like they're seeing me and then they're going home and taking care of their kids, or, they have to go back to work. And so, unfortunately, we don't always have that, like, what I would call integration time, where it's like we do the work, we stir things up, and then we just kind of be, and we just let it settle. And just so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today is like why it's important to do that. And it's like your system needs time to process and recalibrate. Your system needs quiet. Your system might need just lots of rest. It might require, when you're doing a lot of healing work, some time to just rot on the couch and read a book or watch some mindless television. So it's important to give yourself that permission and let yourself know it's okay, right? It's okay if I'm not on 24/7. It's okay if there's a day like yesterday for me. I'm a person who tries to like connect in spiritually every single day. I try to like work in the Akashic records every single day. I try to channel every single day. And yesterday I did none of it. I read a little bit in a book, a spiritual book that I was reading, but even that was like, there was a little bit of resistance with it because my system was saying, nope, you need a day of just being and um, not trying to do the energetic work today. And you know what? It was a lovely day. I got to write and I got to read and I got to just rest. And it was exactly what I needed yesterday. So, and then today I woke up, I'm feeling like, okay, it's time to go again. And so I just channeled a message from love. I'm going to do some more channeling Akashic Records work. But I'm very grateful to myself that I listened yesterday and I didn't try to push, I didn't try to force, I didn't try to have my ego dictate, no, you must always be doing the work. You must always be sitting in the spiritual space. It's like for me, 95% of the time, yeah, I'm sitting in that spiritual space and I am doing the work. And then 5% of the time, I need to just have stillness and quiet and time to let things settle. I think one thing that I wanted to say is really important is like when you start experiencing ascension symptoms, it is very easy to fall back into old habits and behaviors as a way of like trying to cope with it. So for me, that would be um I've been feeling more tired recently. And so my way, because I'm very much I'm I have an energy that wants to go. I have an energy that is like I want to be productive, I want to create. Um So having days where I feel really tired doesn't always feel comfortable for me. And so my old habit would be, let's go get an energy drink, right? If I have an energy drink, I'm going to feel more energized. This is the distortion that I have because I have found that most of the time getting an energy drink does not really make me feel more energized. Or if it does, it's like at an inconvenient time, like when it's time to go to sleep, and just kind of makes my stomach feel sick. So it's like that's the distortion that pulls kind of like almost pulls me back into a lower vibration, right? So instead of like fighting against the exhaustion, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at this because I have gotten an energy drink. And typically what happens is I have a couple of sips and I'm like, nope, this really isn't, this does not feel great. And then I give it to Jonathan and let him finish it. Um, so I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, but yeah, the old behavior that would kind of pull me back into the old vibration that I'm trying to ascend from would be go get an energy drink because then you're going to have more energy. So it could be something like that for you. It could be any other habit that's kind of like not aligned with your highest good, but is a old way of coping with not feeling good, with being tired, with um your mood maybe being a little bit lower than you would like. So it's being aware that your system might try to kind of pull you back there and choosing something different. And another just kind of tip I want to give you that I've been noticing for myself that I've been coming back to is like, because the urge to go get an energy drink is strong. Like I have that urge probably every single day. And so I felt it this morning and I was like, oh, okay, I don't want to do that. So what I did was I noticed where I was feeling that urge in my body, and it was my chest. There was like some tension in my chest. And so what I did was I took some deep breaths into my chest, and then I put my focus on a different place in my body. So I turned my focus to my feet and just noticed my feet. And what that did was it kind of disrupted the signal my chest was sending me that was attached to that urge. And it really took like 5 seconds. And when I like tuned back in, that pressure I was feeling wasn't there anymore. So it was like just by refocusing on a different part of my body, I was able to shift. And so that urge was not as strong. And I could say to myself, no, I'm choosing not to get an energy drink today because that's not aligned with my highest good. And there's some days where that is easier to do. Today, that was really easier or really pretty easy for me to do. And there's some days where that's going to be harder, and that's okay. You know, it's just, I think the most important thing that I'm trying to share with all of you is just becoming more conscious of yourself, of your system, of how your body speaks to you, how your parts speak to you, what's really happening inside so that you can make the best decisions, the most aligned decisions for yourself and have an understanding of like, why am I making those decisions? Right. And so that's part of, you know, what I've been talking about today is noticing when your body's just saying it is time for rest. It is time for stillness. It is time to do something different and not get freaked out. Like if I take a day off of my healing journey, and maybe it's just me, maybe I'm the only person who would get freaked out by that, but I guarantee it's not just me. I'm sure there's some of you out there who would feel that way. But knowing like if I take a day off, it does not mean I'm going backwards. It does not mean I'm starting from the beginning. It does not mean I'm not spiritual anymore. It just means my body, my mind, my soul, my parts, we need some rest. We need some stillness. We need some quiet. We need to recalibrate. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that resonates with you. If you've had similar experiences, I'd love to hear about it. So, you know, please write me a comment or feel free to send me an email or something like that. But It's just something that's been on my mind. So I wanted to share it with all of you. Okay, guys, I will talk to you again next week. Have a wonderful week. Bye.